And welcome everyone to the Alt-Right podcast. What? No,
Oh,
no,
for
no, no, no,
fuck's
no.
sake, man.
No. We're not the Alt-Right. What are you talking about?
Bro, don't even joke about that stuff, man. We'll never hear the end of it.
That's what I'm going for. Anyways, guys, welcome to the Shitlord Preachers podcast. Once again, my name is Amos Joseph, joined by Brook Potter, my friend over there in London. I am here in Minnesota in the United States, the coldest, most deadly state in the winter.
You love it and you know it.
This is our 11th episode, so we've crossed over our 10th episode threshold. For those of you who do
Lucky
not
number
know,
11.
yeah. For those of you who do not know, my name is Amos Joseph. My friend Brook Potter and I are really good friends outside of this stream. We've known each other for a few years now, and from the name, you could probably deduce that we were actually preachers, Christian ministers that traveled the world, spoken to thousands of people. And what's interesting is how much the politics of religion and the politics of government are so similar. how groupthink tends to happen, how the wrong think is treated the same, and
That's right.
the cognitive dissonance is rampant. So we've been having these conversations about some of our political views, and we realized that, hey, some of these conversations are probably a good thing to share and have with other people, especially with maybe things that are a little more relevant. So in here we tackle, political issues, social issues, cultural issues. We're still working towards having some guests. Excuse me. But
what happened with that, Amos? I thought we were having a guest.
So for those of you who maybe watched this last week, we were actually due to have a guest, Kate Shep, of the Kate Shep Show, I guess is what she kind of calls her YouTube channel. She's got a bunch of subscribers, and tried booking her to get her on the show, but she just moved into her new place down in Texas, got a job, and I guess they scheduled her today. So we're going to try to go for next week, but, we'll definitely keep you guys updated. Kind of sucks. We're kind of planning around that.
I thought she was serious about this YouTube thing, man. I didn't expect her to flake like that.
I mean, she has more subscribers than us, so we're kind of under her, I think. She's got that,
Oh, that's good, though.
I mean, you have more subscribers.
Kate, if you're
listening,
if you see it, you're welcome. Come on, join us. The water's fine, as we say.
So, that is basically put on hold for the time being. We'll try for next week. Hopefully, she can work in some time where she doesn't have to work. I know, working a new job, it's definitely you want to make sure your attendance is unquestionable in the beginning, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of threw at her like, call in sick. No, just kidding. But
I mean, she could always get another job. It's not the end of the world.
We've got Trump in the White House. Everything's great. But we're actually going to be talking about a few different things today. First off, I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to share a little story, give you guys a little context on kind of what happened to me in this last week with some laws and some police and some stupid government stuff. Goddamn statists.
Did they come for you, Amos? Did you have to pull out your Tech 9?
I fought the law, and the law won.
The law won this round, but the war isn't over.
Exactly. I will keep fighting the state in whichever way I can without breaking any laws.
To prison.
Exactly.
Revolutionary, are you?
Yeah, with how dumb the whole thing is. But another thing too is I'm gonna be talking about sort of the nonsense and outrage surrounding Donald Trump's Junior Day remarks and tweets, because it's all about his tweets and no one does any research. And what was the other thing here? Yeah, I mean, I'll be going over also that's the other one too. Yeah, I'll be showing you guys some of the sort of the nonsense surrounding that. Also, I did the smart thing today and watched some Fox News and actually found a good piece of news. I didn't.
There's nothing wrong with Fox News.
Yeah, but I mean, it almost feels like CNN of the right. At least that's the perception. Is it's left and right, and I haven't seen Fox News in a while, so I wanted to make sure this was a piece of news that I could cross-examine and confirm with multiple sources. I actually found the news piece on Fox News, but I pulled it up on an ABC website because to kind of show, like, hey, multiple sources are reporting the same thing. So
I don't really think there's an equivalent of CNN on the right. I mean, CNN is in such a mess.
InfoWars.
I mean, it's just... Yeah, even InfoWars, I don't think they make shit up like CNN makes shit up. Like, they really pull stuff out of nowhere. And they fake stuff a lot, like, literally like fake reports. And they've been caught a couple times doing their own cameraman to get stories. Every news outlet gets things wrong, but I don't think there's anybody doing it as bad as CNN.
That'll be a whole nother stream to talk about that. Anyways,
but it'll be interesting. I'm interested to hear what the news is.
So yeah, and then I want to briefly touch on, just kind of comment on the Jordan Peterson debate on the Channel 4 News, I think it is, in Canada. Basically, he was on a debate with it was set up as an interview but turned into a debate, and talk about literally shoveling words into his mouth. And the whole thing was a straw man. And if he ever said that this is a straw man argument, the interviewer was going to jump on that and be like, "Are you calling me a man?" So what you're saying is was the most common thing that was coming out of her mouth. So what you're assuming is, so what you're saying is, so what you're getting at is, and just assuming a lot of words. Anyways, so off to Brook. Brook's going to introduce himself, share kind of what he's going to be talking about. I know there's some things that he was mentioning that are interesting, definitely. So.
Thank you, Amos. Yes, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Brook Potter. I am from the Twin Island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Recently moved out to the UK, and I'm starting a life out here. Forgive me for the mess that's behind me. I'm in my room right now. I haven't really had a chance to clean up, but I mean, you guys don't care about that. As Amos said, yeah, we used to be itinerant ministers. We did a lot of traveling and charity work and other good things. And, it seems to be almost a normal progression where people, concerned about their society and things that are going on tend to transition into some kind of political arena from that sphere. I know a couple ministers, at least, that have done that. So we're not alone in that capacity. And, so, as I say, I'm covering the news kind of on this side of the pond. I'm very interested to hear Amos's story. I mean, I know bits and pieces of his battle with the law, but I'm also going to be sharing about, and again, forgive me, the Mirror is it's somewhat a scandal sheet, but I think there is some truth to this. A woman said that she married, after looking for a husband and failing to find one, she went ahead and decided to marry a 300-year-old pirate ghost. And we're going to have a great discussion as to the rules of consent and how does this affect her taxes. A couple of the articles I've got in there. There's some interesting laws out of Japan for retiring sex workers. You know me, I've always got to bring the sex into it. And there's a fascinating business school for the feminists for $1,200 US. Very capitalist price, I might add. You get to smash the patriarchy and destroy capitalism while earning some kind of business credential. Oh, the irony is not lost on us. So That plus I want to touch on the adpocalypse because I, like many other YouTubers, as of this month, they announced there's going to be a change on YouTube as pertaining to the monetization. And it really affects myself, and it'll affect Amos and probably even our friend Kate. For smaller YouTubers, it's basically a war on creators, and I will be touching a little bit about that. But I'm very interested to hear Amos's story, where he almost got thrown in the clink.
Exactly.
You know, his street cred almost, went over 9,000.
Oh, jeez. So, for those of you, once again, just to quickly mention, I do live in the state of Minnesota. Where in the state doesn't matter. But anyway, so let's see. Last Friday had my paycheck, so payday came through, and so it was a good thing that I was able to take care of everything quite swiftly. Thanks to that, I got a call while I was at work. Missed it, but I called back and I checked the message, and it was actually the local police department. And so the local police department left a message and said, "Could you give us a call, please?" And I'm thinking, what's going on here? They have my number, they know my name. I was like, but here's the thing, though. It was actually the police department in a neighboring town, and I was like, oh, this is really weird. So I called them back, and I'm speaking to this female officer who's extremely quiet over the phone, almost a whisper. So I had to kind of really listen in, and then she starts asking me about my car, which had actually broken down about a week before that. So I was driving out of town, going up to I was going to go on a drive, and basically the car broke down. I couldn't get. It was pretty cold here in Minnesota. In Fahrenheit for us Americans, it was below zero with a wind chill of like 20 degrees below zero, just really cold. So my car battery was having trouble, and it basically just crapped out. No matter how much we tried to jump it, charge it, they actually after it all got fixed and said and done, there was no issue. It was just the battery. The battery had literally just could not hold a charge whatsoever. It was just completely dead.
It crapped out.
But what had happened was when it broke down, I left my car at a gas station, went inside, spoke to the gas station employee, said, "Hey, can I leave my car here? Is that okay?" They said, "It's no problem. Leave your name, your number. We'll get a hold of you if we have any questions."
Right.
No one called me. Then Friday, I get this call from the police department, and I call them up.
How long did you leave the car there?
About a week.
You left it there for a week. Okay.
So, and I figured, okay, if it was going to be a problem, they'd call me. I'd take care of it.
Right.
Hey, you've been here too long. Hey, we're going to do something about this if you don't move it today, tomorrow, whenever.
Right.
So it actually snowed during that period, and I drove because and actually for work, I have a work vehicle, so I actually drove by there just to check on it, make sure everything's okay. Still couldn't move it, and I saw the at the gas station they have plows that go through there, and the plow went around it. Okay, I'm holding a spot. It's a small town, so there's not really much to worry about in terms of space. If you had to plow around me, big whoop. But no one called me, and I figured I was fine. So I call up the police, and they're saying, your vehicle has been there for about a week. You need to move it because the plows went through, and you need to move it today, or else the gas station reserves the right to tow it. And I'm thinking, they didn't call me. So they went right to the cops. And then to my surprise, well, I shouldn't say surprise, it means the police. The resources are quite extensive. They ran a check on the vehicle, and I had purchased the vehicle but neglected to file the title transfer.
Right.
I bought the car for like $500.
Are you sure you want to put this out on the internet?
Huh?
Are you sure you want to put this on the internet?
What do you mean? We were talking about this though.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know if you wanted to put that much detail, but anyway, all right, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I mean, I'm not
Sorry.
mentioning people or individuals, and people don't know where I live. So,
Right, right.
I'm not saying what car, what kind. Anyways,
Yeah,
I bought a
some
car.
lawyer for this state might decide, oh, look, he admits to a crime, and lock your ass up anyway.
Whatever. Um, I could just be making up numbers here. So bought the car for $1 million. $700, $500, $100. Are they really going
Right.
to make it like this? So I bought the car and exchanged. It was a consensual transaction. I paid the individual the money, got the car. I did not know that it was state law that you had to process the title within 10 days, or else it is considered a gross misdemeanor. And I'm
Wow.
thinking, okay. So they find out about this. I called up so the police officer basically told me, you need to get this taken care of by 4 o'clock today, or else we're pressing charges.
Wow.
So I'm thinking misdemeanor. The word misdemeanor just sounds kind of whatever. So here, so basically, you have your sort of stages of offenses. You have misdemeanors, but you have petty misdemeanors, regular misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors. Then
Right.
you get into felonies, which is
Right.
now you're a criminal. Um, so we're gonna kind of show you here. So I actually found this. This is pretty cool.
Is that
The
like the hierarchy of crime in Minnesota?
Yeah, well, in most states it follows that. It's just the classification might be a bit different. So here we're going to tackle this. We're going to talk. Here we go. So
Right.
this is a website called Ask a Trooper, and it talks about the question on vehicle title transfers. So they talk about this guy from the state patrol, and he says what happens when a dealer doesn't transfer the title or pay the taxes. So he basically just says, Minnesota statute, state statute says if you do not transfer, with the appropriate taxes and fees and certificate within 10 business days, it is guilty of a gross misdemeanor.
Right.
Well, how serious is a gross misdemeanor? The great state of Minnesota.
Right.
Well, a gross misdemeanor, right here, 1 year in jail and up to a $3,000 fine, one or both.
Wow.
Now, what is on that level of a gross misdemeanor? A second DWI within a 10-year period, second assault in
Driving.
10 years.
For those who don't know, that's driving while intoxicated.
Oh, yeah. So, driving while intoxicated. Let's see, what else here? The other
Second
one would
assault.
be
Right.
second assault, theft of property worth between $500 and $1,000. Now, these are just a few examples.
Right.
So here's another interesting thing. Guess what else is considered a gross misdemeanor?
I already know, so you're gonna have to tell the audience.
Prostitution.
Right. So you would have been thrown in with the pimps and hoes.
Exactly. So
Your street cred just like shot all the way up.
Exactly. So the interesting thing, and with Brooke and I being libertarians, our thought process kind of goes down this line of basically, sort of the state powers, the state being just government in general, not necessarily federal or the state of Minnesota, but government in general and laws and, taxes, fees, renewals, permits. Minnesota is known for being one of the higher tax states in the country. And I find it so interesting that just to break this down for you guys, that you could hop into a car with a prostitute, charge for her services for whatever amount that and that could be a completely consensual transaction. But that's and you probably get away with that. There's no paperwork, and you move on with your life.
Are you saying she doesn't give you a receipt?
Exactly.
How do you classify that on your taxes?
Exactly. Tax time is coming up. You definitely want to make sure. So I cracked this joke with some people that helped me move my vehicle, and they understand it too, And I even cracked the joke with Brooke, yeah, you go get a hooker and you pay her whatever amount, you do whatever you want, you're probably going to get away with that, but God damn, you better not let us catch you buy a car without telling us.
Yeah, so
we need to know every car you have. You need to pay a tax on the tax. I mean, there's got to be a point where it just sounds so silly. And I even spoke to a good friend of mine who's actually had some law enforcement experience, and he's a libertarian. So his law enforcement training tells him, well, we need to, register vehicles for the sake of investigation. So I threw back at him, just like we should be able to monitor all the phone calls, all the chats that come in and out of the U.S. through the NSA because security, right? And he goes, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So you can't have it both ways. You can't be. Well, I mean, yes, the different stages of libertarians and stuff like that. So, but the whole point of having the car registered for the sake of investigation means they don't have to investigate. They already have the records. The point of investigation, my job is not to make it easy for the police to criminalize people. That's not my job, right? As a citizen,
it comes down to, if you want true security, and I was actually watching. Have you heard of this movie, The Circle?
There are two movies, The Circle. So there's the one with Tom Hanks, and then there's an independent film. So which one are you talking about?
The one, oh, that's right. There was another one. The one with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. So basically, it was kind of like a future. Yeah, it's the mainstream one, not the independent one. So basically, it's just Tom Hanks is this sort of CEO of sort of like a Google, Facebook, YouTube kind of corporation that's basically connecting people further and further. And they take it to this sort of to the nth degree of security, of knowing everything, of people have no privacy, and they're starting to they go down this rabbit hole of basically like everyone can be safe all the time if they're all being watched all the time.
Right.
And then their rationale was we would be better people if we knew we were always being watched. And,
I don't know if we might behave better. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're a better person.
Well, there were certain scenes in the movie that show where people did things, and then they said, "Well, we caught you doing this. But then they got into a life-threatening situation. They said, "But would you have done this thing that was illegal to start with?"
Right.
If you knew you were being watched, and they said, "Well, probably not." And they kind of made it fun, but then, anyways, so which goes with the saying, for those who want security and freedom are going to get neither and lose both.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm not quoting it exactly right, but basically, if you try to get freedom or security, you can't really have both.
Correct. I mean, any kind of security, there's a curtailing of civil liberties to some extent.
Right. You lose some security for some freedom. So you really come down to how much freedom do you want to sacrifice? How much security do you really want? How much security, are we really going to allow? Some libertarians I've talked to, they joke about, it's funny that, that the moment your driver's license expires, it's the end of the world because the government wants you to renew it and pay more fees. It's like, your car is just going to instantly swerve off the road because it is a danger to society that you do not renew your driver's license, But I found it to be very, anyways, I did take care of everything.
Right.
I processed everything, went to the police officers, went to the department, showed her all the paperwork, and she said, you got to remember, this is how you do it. You have to do it this way. You need to process all this the correct way.
Right.
I said, I understand. And so, yeah, I didn't want to make a big scene and kind of like, this is why America's in, this is what, you're a bunch of statists. You just want to like, look over my shoulder every time I make a purchase. I said, I made this purchase fair and square. I did all that I was supposed to. I didn't steal this. I didn't rob this man of his vehicle. I purchased it in a consensual manner. Why am I in trouble for not telling you about it and paying a tax on something that I purchased with my money?
Correct.
So there's that. Anyways, so
That's interesting.
through the research, I found it to be very interesting. Like I said, talked to Brooke about it, talked to a few other people about it, talked to my friend who had some law enforcement training. At one point, he was really pursuing to be a cop, but he still maintains. Well, he's retained a lot of his training still, so he knows about the justice system. But it's interesting how you can very easily justify on one end, well, because security, whereas on the other end, you start to realize how much does the government really need from us? Like, if you buy a house on a plot of land, you still have to pay taxes for owning that land. You still have to get a permit to add a deck to your house. You still need to, then you start talking about just all sorts of things, like where it's, how much do you really own? Eminent domain. If you own land that's near an area that the local government wants to develop that land, well, they can pay you a substantial amount of money to remove you.
Correct. That's going on right now. Back in my home country, they're building like a interchange for the highway, and eminent domain. People who bought their homes and stuff like that. I mean, they're going to be compensated, but they're just taking their houses. So it's the potential for the destruction of property rights, and that's it's risky. You don't really want a country that doesn't have strong property rights tends to get into trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
So on to my adventures of watching Fox News this morning.
Good job.
I got up early and watched some Fox News.
Horizon.
Exactly. I actually got to find this very. So I found a piece of news, and I wanted to, like I said, cross-reference it, make sure, hey, it's all actually happening. It's not like some. Come on, no, what's that? Stupid ads. So for those of you who are following the Trump presidency, Union, which is where
following the Trump
once a year. Exactly. The State of the Union, where the president annually will basically give an address to, which is broadcasted nationally. He, speaks to all the congressmen. It talks about sort of what we've been seeing, what is going on now, and the justices. Yep, there's them too. Basically talks. Even though it's to them, he's basically talking to the whole country.
Right.
Kind of like, hey, this is a formal address I'm going to be giving. It's usually, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours? I forgot how long it is. It goes on pretty long because in the middle of the speech, he's basically, each point he makes goes into, applause, sometimes booing, talking about. And some people, sometimes there'll also be special guests that he'll have that might be individuals from the military, individuals who are affiliated with military people. So that is at the end of this month. Our one source said 4, another one said 5. Fox News talked about 5. Talks about 4. 5 congressmen have basically publicly stated that they will be skipping out State of the Union address. Is, Trump's a racist. His shithole country's remark that is yet to be absolutely confirmed because it was some offhand comment he made in a private meeting.
Allegedly.
Like I said, yet to be confirmed. We don't know. It was a private conversation. One person said it happened, while the other individuals in the room said it didn't happen. We don't know. Anyways, so some congressmen basically, spoke out and said, we're going to skip out on this. And that's just, virtue signaling.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I'm a congressman who is voted by my constituents to represent their interests, to work with the government that I've been placed into, whether or not, and due to the best of my ability, work with individuals that I don't agree with. But hey, Trump's a racist, white supremacist, white guy, orange guy, said shithole countries, and we're not going to show up to the State of the Union. Like,
do we know who these congressmen are?
I can tell you one of them is what's her name, Maxine Waters, the one that got all.
For God's sake.
I think. Okay, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say I think they're all black. Let's see here. 4 congressmen. Well, it says 4 in this article.
Are they all from California?
So.
Oh no! That was Georgia. I saw there. Yeah, pull it up. Let me see.
So here we go. 4 congressmen to boycott Trump's State of the Union in response to shithole remark.
Which again, we don't know if he was actually said or not.
Okay, so this was actually out yesterday, but 4 congressional Democrats are boycotting President Trump's first State of the Union, scheduled for the 30th, after the president reportedly said African nations were reportedly. We don't know. Were shithole countries, which I found absolutely hilarious that CNN felt that their indignation was deserving of actually saying the full word on air
over and over again
for a full news cycle. Like shithole, 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 shithole. I mean, Don Lemon, all these people just shithole, shithole, shithole. I'm like, they're like, we are gonna swear because the president did on national TV because he did it, therefore we can do it.
Yeah. Journalism standards have just gone.
So we got Representative John Lewis from Georgia, Maxine Waters from California,
not surprising,
Frederica Wilson from Florida, and Pramila Jayapal from Washington. And you know what's interesting?
They're all Democrats.
Well, we know that, but it's all coastal states.
Well, right. Most Democrats tend to come from, the coastal states.
It's fuck the flyover states.
Georgia is next. Well, it's next to Florida.
Florida,
it's on the East Coast. 2 on the East Coast and 2 on the West Coast.
Yeah, and then there was that, like I said, there was that 5th one that's not being shown in this article, but either way, it's coastal states. It's African Americans.
Are they all black?
I think they all are. I remember I saw the pictures of them. I mean, you guys can look this up to our viewers. They will not attend the president's address after Trump made the derogatory comment. Oh, so now it's not reportedly. They're just saying he said it.
Right.
During a bipartisan meeting with lawmakers on immigration. Lewis, the longtime Georgia congressman and civil rights icon who marched with Martin Luther King Jr., said on This Week, Sunday, in good conscience, I cannot and will not sit there and listen at him. Oh boy.
Right.
As he gives the State of the Union address, Lewis further criticized the president, calling him a racist.
Wow.
And of course, here's our deranged Maxine Waters.
Yeah, Maxine Waters. I know her. John Lewis, I know. I remember him. I didn't know Frederica, but yeah, she's African American as well. Who was the last one?
Pramila Jayapal from Washington.
Pramila,
Pramila. Jayapal, Jayapal.
Pramila Jayapal. Okay. East Indian.
Darn it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not entirely surprising.
Brown.
Yeah, you could say that. She's from India.
Yeah. Responding to Trump's remark, Waters released a forceful statement in which she called for the impeachment. Oh, that's new, isn't it? The impeachment of the president? We haven't heard that one before.
Oh my God, they've been trying to impeach him for years. Well, for months anyway. He's only been there for a year, but
And that's the thing is, there's all these things. It's like they they can't come up with a grounds for actually impeaching him, except to say that he's a racist.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't stopped the likes of the far left and the likes of Robert Reich, and these other, left wing bomb throwers.
Right.
Which is why they're doing the whole mental illness thing. That's like a last resort.
Mental illness, erectile dysfunction, baldness,
right. Age spots,
underperforming in the bedroom.
Yeah. His hands are too big. I mean,
Oh.
Yeah, the Trump derangement syndrome is on a whole other level at this point.
A racist and indecent man with no good values who is woefully unfit and undeserving of the office in which he serves. So how does one become a deserving of the office? Do they get elected? Oh, wait,
they have to be Democrats.
Oh. Like Frederica Wilson.
Yeah. She's from Florida, right?
So they just go on and on saying, "Hey, we're gonna bow out of this." And then, of course, here's Pramila Jayapal, with all the racism coming from the White House, I will not be attending State of the Union.
What racism
on the state of our union. Oh, look at this. Instead, we will focus on the state of our union. Oops. Darn Twitter. I want to go to Twitter. We will lift up a progressive and inclusive vision of our country.
Right. She was born in India, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with that. It's just...
You go through the proper channels and you get elected. Great. But
yeah, Washington State is definitely very progressive, so...
Number of congressional members not attending this president's speech could grow. Oh, jeez.
Cedric Richmond, let me see. Who?
Cedric Richmond of Louisiana.
Cedric.
And he's talking about... Okay. This is probably why it was 5 this morning. He probably went through and said it. So, because this article was on this was like a couple days ago. The president has denied reports that he ever said shithole countries during the Oval Office meeting, instead asserting that he's the least racist person reporters have ever interviewed. I just find it funny hearing him saying, I am the most stable genius ever. I have the best words. I am the least racist person you have ever interviewed. So the White House has not responded to a request for comment. Prior to Trump's comment, a 5th legislator, Earl Blumenauer of Oregon, another progressive state, announced that he will not be attending. The congressman said that hearing from his constituents is a more productive use of... Listening to constituents is a productive use of your time. Since when did a congressman say that?
Oh, he's white. There you go.
A little bit of diversity in this.
Yeah. My diversity is strong. Look at that.
Exactly. Diversity is their strength. So this is sort of the in the last week, this is the one racist thing about the shithole countries.
So what do you think about the shithole countries?
Well, I came from one.
Taiwan is a shithole?
It could be in parts.
I
mean, I love the country, but I can also very much agree with the comment that it has shithole elements. And the thing was when I spoke to some of my libertarian connections about this shithole comment, I said, there are actual shithole countries, though. Like Haiti, in its entirety, is very corrupt and it's a shithole.
Right.
It's just... I mean, it's not the best way to say it. Okay, so it's a crappy country with a lot of garbage, starvation, hunger, poverty,
corruption,
defining a shithole. Right. And then people are like, "Well, there's Detroit." Yeah, whose fault is Detroit?
Well, yeah, it's been under democratic rule for eons.
It's been completely hollowed up by the democratic control, essentially there.
Pretty much.
So, Elite Daily.
Right.
Nothing quite says that you're unbiased by calling your news site Elite Daily. President Trump retweeted an MLK tribute video, and Twitter is divided. So I'm going to talk on this a bit. I mean, basically, it just goes on to say, even though he posted he tweeted a video that was very just a very basic tribute video to MLK, showing the marches, the speeches, the great things he said, and people are coming at him because no one thinks Trump believes any of this stuff. Basically the statement was, Dr. King's dream is our dream. It is the American dream. It's the promise stitched into the fabric of our nation, etched into the hearts of our people, written into the soul of mankind. So for those of you watching internationally, Martin Luther King Jr. Day was on Monday, so it's the 15th. So it's January 15th of every year. And it's a day it's a federal holiday that we use to commemorate the late Martin Luther King Jr., who was probably one of the main civil rights leaders back in the 60s, with the I Have a Dream speech, and then leading into the signing of the Civil Rights Act. So as per U.S. Code 36, I think it is, on U.S. holidays, federal holidays, in some cases the president is required to proclaim a federal holiday annually.
Right.
So every January 15th, Donald Trump basically puts out a statement on the White House website saying, I proclaim hereby today that it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Well, whoever the president is, it's not
whoever the president is. Reagan did it. Both Bushes, Clinton, Obama, they all did it. Because Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the first one was in 1983. So every year they do that. If you look it up, if you look on the White House website, you'll see a signed statement, proclamation, they call it, every year. And because here's what happened. So I found this is where I came up with this, was I found this meme. I don't know, I have a feeling this was an actual tweet. So it says, today it was my great honor to proclaim January 15th, 2018 as Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday. I encourage all Americans to observe this day with appropriate civic, community, and service activities in honor of Dr. King's life and legacy. So you see there Dr. Ben Carson, and you see Mike Pence, Trump, and then I don't know who that is. I'd have to look that up.
Right. Okay.
So then here's this tweet. You're proclaiming MLK Day a federal holiday? How can one man be so fucking stupid? MLK has been a federal holiday since 1983. You racist imbecile. And so someone on my feed on Facebook posted this, and they got all over the place thinking, wow, more Trump derangement syndrome. He is an idiot. He is racist. How can he be so dumb to think that he came out, he was proclaiming this? A proclamation and a declaration are completely different, which is not being shown in the understanding of this guy replying to the tweet.
Right.
Presidents proclaim holidays every year, especially the really big ones. There's some, there's also like like Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, some of those federal months. There's also federal weeks where they commemorate and sort of talk about specific, causes and things that basically past presidents have made into holidays, or sort of, I don't know if you want to say, just weeks or months devoted to a certain subject.
Right.
Every president has done this.
And these people, unaware of the legislation and everything else,
immediately assume that he's just an idiot.
And he's being racist.
Right. And of course, he's here trying to say, I believe in all this. Martin Luther King was a great man. And it says, how dare you even suggest Dr. King's dream is the vision you are trying to uphold? So now, he can't have that dream.
Right.
Not much evidence of a shared dream. Sir, I find your post is so disingenuous and just plain wrong. So, yeah.
Oh, for God's sake, man. I mean, the left-wing press is just never going to let up on this Trump thing. I mean, it's just white noise at this point. I don't think the American people are taking any of this.
Trump did not write this. Trump did not post this. And of course, guess what? He was at Mar-a-Lago, so we got to flip out even more.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just more and more tweets of Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah. I mean, didn't the granddaughter of Dr. Martin Luther King kind of come out and say, well, Trump is being, not racist, and he's
I haven't heard on that one. I mean, I haven't been following too much. There's just too much Trump derangement syndrome to dig through. So real quick, just to kind of end up my little things that I'm kind of bringing up here. You guys can check out this here on YouTube. Go look up Jordan Peterson's debate on the gender pay gap, campus protests, and postmodernism from Channel 4 News. So Channel 4 News in Canada basically did about a half-hour segment with Dr. Jordan Peterson of the University of Toronto, who is actually a clinical psychologist. So, the man knows stuff.
Right.
He basically speaks on, the issues that he's been talking about with, his activism against C60, crap. The bill, the transgender pronoun bill that was passed in Canada. He also speaks on free speech issues, campus protests, and of course what he likes to call the postmodernist, the rise of postmodernism among millennials and colleges.
Right.
So he's talking about all these different factors in the gender pay gap and just a lot of these different ideas, and he's very careful with his words, which is I think makes him he's a really smart guy. However, what makes this a very difficult thing to watch is you can hear everything he's saying, but you can't. But the reporter, I should kind of show you here. So
we're not going to get any sound.
No, I know. I'm just going to kind of show the.
Yeah.
What's her name? The other lady here. Come on. Here we go. So she is the reporter that's interviewing him, and she, as I've seen on Twitter today, she is putting so many words into his mouth, trying to catch him on everything he says, drawing complete straw men. I mean, there's a part where he briefly talks about sort of the hierarchical structures of lobsters and how we share a common ancestor with lobsters, and she instantly says, "So you're saying we got to be like lobsters?"
Right.
She's straight like, this is a TV reporter, national television across Canada, top level, top of her field, and she seriously is assuming this clinical psychologist, top of his field, is saying mankind has to behave like lobsters.
I mean, it's reaching.
It's literally subject after subject, phrase after phrase that she completely twists, strawmans, breaks apart in ways to make him seem like a complete, trying to make him seem like an idiot, but actually making her look like even a bigger idiot than the idiot she's trying to paint him as. Because he is very cautious to say, well, that's not the only thing I say, like pay gap. He talks about the factors in the pay gap, and he talks about the more prominent issues that are being talked about by feminism, and talking about dynamics between men and women, how they behave differently, and how the free market works. And she doesn't like what he's saying. He's just saying she's accuses him of making broad generalizations, and it's like a clinical psychologist whose job is to make observations which can become generalizations. That is his actual job. So what you're saying, he's not doing it because of his bias. He's doing it because of what he sees. He observes. If we've talked about how economists do not take the feminist idea of the gender pay gap seriously because the numbers just don't add up. The numbers are twisted and they don't take into account all the variables. And that's one thing that Jordan Peterson talks about with all of his topics is there's just too many variables to really tackle it. There are some ones that affect things more than others. You and I talked about the pay gap last week, where if it's over 51% of a people group that behaves or does something a certain way, it is mathematically a majority.
Sure.
So if I said if 51% of white people did a certain thing, I would say a majority of white people do this thing.
Right.
That would be true.
Yes.
And in the same way, he's looking at these different factors, different variables with all these issues he talks about in this half-hour interview, and she is instantly saying, so you're saying, it's like saying, are you saying that all people behave this way? Are you saying all women are like this? Are you saying all men are like this? Are you saying, all business should be done this way? And it's like, no. He's like, I'm saying is that's how it is. That's
Right.
how it's been. It can definitely be changed, but it shouldn't be compelled to change. People should do it on their own.
I mean, even for myself, like I watched it. I watched a portion of it where they were talking about the gender pay gap. And again, he's making these points about, look, there are variable factors, right? Discrimination may play a very minuscule role in the whole gender pay gap thing. And then she starts, like using all the catchphrases to try and make a point. Like, so do you acknowledge that the pay gap exists? He says it doesn't matter if it exists or not. The reason, what we need to understand is why it exists. And then she's like, well, would you at least agree that it's not fair? Well, he says, well, we don't know if it's fair because we need to know why it exists. And he says, if it's just sexism, sure, that's unfair. But the research has gone into this and it says, well, it's not sexism. There might be a very small percentage of the sexism. But
he definitely agrees. He's like, oh yeah, there's definitely discrimination. There's always going to be discrimination.
Yeah, which is just a reality. But using as the feminist narrative goes off, you see, again, feminism never wants to deal with what is. They always want to deal with what is versus something else, and that is the tactic of the left, right? So you've always got to have an enemy. You've always got to have something to compare against. While most people just look at what the thing is. Right?
And no matter how good things can get,
correct,
it always has to be even better. What's that?
Yeah, because you can't have a victimhood complex or a victimhood political narrative without somebody else to compare against. So, all right, and I believe she said this in the interview, talking about, well, women are underrepresented at the highest levels of power in the corporate world. All right, that may be true. And then he goes on to say, well, yeah, that's true because there are men out there that are driven. They're willing to sacrifice their entire life to focus on one thing and be exceptional. And the truth is just, not that women can't do it, because obviously there are women at the top, but some women don't make that choice. They choose other lifestyles, other ways, of having life.
And he points out there are plenty of fields out there completely dominated by women.
Yeah. Teaching, the healthcare industry, fashion design, modeling, porn stars. I mean, there are a number.
I think there is some heterophobia in the fashion industry because it's all gay men. What about the straight men that want to be fashion designers?
Yeah. And I mean, this it's kind of, well, I mean, I don't know too many people in that field, but yeah, it was kind of
I'm making a broad generalization.
Yeah, if you were a straight, straight white male, nobody's going to take you seriously in the fashion industry. That was kind of the running joke. I don't know how true that is because I'm not in the field, but
and we could march for that.
I mean, this is it. But I did like the point. There was a gotcha moment where he kind of turned the tables on her. I wouldn't give it away for the viewers, but it was about offense and if people had the right to be offended.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and he turned it on her. And it was brilliant. And she literally had to catch herself and kind of stammer like, "Oh my God, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what to say." So for anybody who hasn't watched it, it's definitely worth seeing it, if for nothing else, for that moment.
Yeah, all the links that I'm sharing, and as well as Brooke will be sharing here in a sec, we'll be posting them all in the description below. So,
yeah, it's pretty good.
Go ahead with the Ghost Pirate, Brooke.
I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to go through all of these, so I'm going to go quick. But I wanted to quickly ask you, what do you think about the YouTube thing? Because this is something that affects you, it affects me, it will affect
Well, it's going
a
to
couple of
affect
our
you more
guests.
than it's going to affect me because I don't have enough subscribers to even get the monetization under the old rules. With the
Right.
new rules, you're going to lose your present state of monetization. So,
Yeah.
you know, if
And
you guys
you
want
now
to know,
have a
Brooks making
mounting
some
decline.
money.
Well, I have two channels. So I have my lifestyle channel as well as my old ministry channel that I'm leaving up. I'm not hiding from my past or anything like that. And combined, I did. I mean, I made some money, not a hell of a lot. But
Yeah,
that's
it's not something
gone.
you're going to. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Both of those are gone. Actually, my ministry channel, that is mostly hidden now,
Yeah.
uh, that'll lose its monetization as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got 2 emails from Google. And so, but I mean, yeah. So now the criteria going forward is, as people may or may not know. I think before it was like you needed 100 subscribers or something and
100 subscribers and
10,000
like
views
10,000 views. So it wasn't like they weren't talking
or a
about
thousand
watching.
views or something.
It's 10,000 views. So,
It was 10,000. Okay, that was,
what are the present
yeah.
rules right now? It's not even views anymore. It's watch time.
Yeah, so it's 4,000 hours in the last 12 months, which is 24,000 minutes. No, sorry, 240,000 minutes for the last 12 months to qualify, and you need at least 1,000 subscribers.
That was 10,000
And
subscribers. Or no, it's
no,
1,000.
1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours, which is 4,000 multiplied by 60, is 240,000 minutes in the last 12 months to qualify for monetization.
The entire bottom of YouTube, of monetized YouTube channels, is just going to get completely cut out.
Yeah, it's over for if you're not taking this thing seriously as a profession. It's done. You're not going to make any money.
So for the big
So I mean,
channels, it's fine. Like, did you see Chris Reagan's comment on it?
I think yeah, he said like when he started to get serious and took it as a job, he managed to get up to 1,000 subscribers pretty quick.
Yeah, but he's saying it's definitely a rough thing for like sort of the animators that are on YouTube, because the more short form kind of YouTube channels, nice short videos that they make that are funny, get lots of views, but they don't get the minutes.
Correct.
But then people who are long form with low subscriber bases, that kind of gives them an advantage. I mean, it's a good. I think everyone should have the opportunity to monetize their videos, but when YouTube is putting in these new rules, I think it kind of like how the market is. It's just how governments try to meddle with markets. It creates some advantages for others and takes away advantages from other people. And I think
exactly.
in unfair manners, like he was saying, the animation sort of short videos that people that will make 2 or 3 minute videos that'll get tens of millions of views.
But it's not going to rack up the minutes required to get monetized. I mean, it could, but a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, those are people that are like big channels. But I mean, even people that are just as talented but maybe have 1,000 subscribers. So if you have 1,000 subscribers, you did a 2-minute video, and that took you like 3-4 weeks to make.
Yeah.
Is it really? I mean, are you going to make that 240,000 minute mark in the last 12 months?
Yeah, and this is what I didn't like, the dishonesty behind the letter. I assume you got the letter as well.
Yeah.
Right. So they're complaining about they're trying to police the community, change the rules because of spam, and they're trying to deal with the more disliked characters on YouTube and stuff like that. But this is
AKA
the problem.
All the conservatives.
Right, so it might be that, but this is the problem, right? They've already admitted that the people that they're going after don't have any traffic, right? These are small channels that nobody's watching, and even as they say in their report that these people probably made less than $100 in the last 12 months, which means nobody's watching these channels. How could these be like so terrible and so heinous that they need to go after these channels? So I don't like this duplicitous, duality that they're trying to, on one side they're trying to clean up the channel, the community, but they're going after small content creators that aren't getting any traffic.
Well,
that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it's like this. How many actual KKK members are there in the US?
Right. So, I mean, okay, so they're trying to weed out the alt-right and whatever. I mean, the minute I say the word ISIS, this isn't going to be monetized, but it wasn't happening
Jesus.
anyway. But yeah, you're lying. If it is that you're going after small content creators that have no views, get no traffic, how could they be the harassing bane of the YouTube community that you're trying to clean up? It's impossible. So I mean, right. I don't like the lying, which is why a lot of people are very upset with the whole YouTube. I see Facebook is starting to step up their video platform, and they're doing more ads and stuff now. So YouTube really has to watch it, because you might. I have like over a couple thousand people on my Facebook, and if I'm getting more views and better coverage across there, and I can monetize, I will very much just switch over to Facebook. So
right.
Let's see. Yeah. Right. Let's deal with the pirates.
Yeah. Talk about those pirates, man.
All right. Let's see if I got this here. All right. Can you see that?
Let's see here. Yeah.
Is it coming up? Okay, right. Present to
fed up with searching for perfect man, marries ghosts. Oh, jeez.
Now, I have full disclosure. I'm not the Mirror in the UK tends to be a bit of a scandal sheet, like the Inquirer in the US. So you take these stories with a pinch of salt, as the expression goes. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was very funny, and there seems to be at least a couple people kind of suggesting this actually did happen, at least to some degree. There's the happy bride. Look at that.
Her husband looks just perfect shape.
Yeah, he's obviously lifting weights and stuff. I mean, he's virtually non-existent. So here we go. This is Amanda Teague of 45 has married a Haitian pirate named Jack, who died in the 1700s, and the fact that he's dead doesn't bother her.
Must be Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, maybe, Well, it gets even weirder than that, right? A woman fed up for searching for the perfect man has married the ghost of a 300-year-old pirate instead, and says he's her soulmate. Amanda Teague has married a Haitian pirate named Jack. Right. Her friends and family attended the wedding on a boat off the Irish coast. Like any other ordinary couple, they had arguments, go on dates, and even have sex.
So he's a succubus.
My God. Yeah, I guess for the women it's a succubus, right? Yeah. So this is the wonderful bride decked out. Yeah,
she looks like someone from the Addams Family.
Morticia. That was kind of the thing that came to mind, but I didn't want to say it. I'm cultural appropriation and all that. So here is the wedding party. See,
there are kids there.
Yeah. Again, look, it is a picture of Jack Sparrow. I don't know. I don't know how real this is, although it wouldn't entirely surprise me. So yeah, here's the bride. She's putting the ring on. The minister putting the ring on her finger, and yeah, it's happy smiles all around.
Oh, purple hair.
So a Captain Jack Sparrow impersonator told the Daily Star, "He's my soulmate. I am so happy." Relationship for me. There are a lot of people out there who don't know about spiritual relationships, but it could be the right for them. I want to get there. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Here's the Jack Sparrow. So I mean, this, like there's Trump derangement syndrome, I think there's definitely like a derangement that's going on. Men that some of them have married themselves. Have I done those articles already? I think I've showed you a couple of those.
I mean,
the women marry themselves.
I mean, what does the worst men do?
Men exist, apparently. That's kind of the worst.
I mean, what was? I mean, from the crazy stories that you find and you bring up here, you got these women marrying ghosts, marrying themselves, marrying objects, even.
Yeah, male sex dolls.
Right, and then what's the worst thing that a man is doing? Oh, he's some Russian man steals a tank and
Right,
destroy. Like
right.
he does real things. He doesn't do these
Yeah.
things that just don't happen in real life.
Men are not out there marrying spirit brides. Like sex doll, a fleshlight, or from a woman. Right?
Right.
I don't see a lot of men out there marrying themselves or anything like that. Now, there are men that go their own way, which is the whole MGTOW thing. And
But even that
I
is not
understand that
completely like detached from reality, where you're like marrying things, ghosts, objects themselves, alternate reality
yeah,
themselves.
yeah. It's kind of like the eco women that marry Mother Earth and then rub their
And then they go on the
bits grounded on trees and rivers and stuff.
Yeah, they're
I don't know what kind of level of derangement that is. Men doing that. I mean, I can't say because apparently there's some men that have done some stuff with some animals and stuff like that, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, tell us about that in the UK, Brooke.
There's a lot of Welsh jokes, but if I do that, I'll just ostracize a whole bunch of people.
No, I was just saying something
All right,
about
on the
certain
subject
government
of sex.
officials and certain animals.
Yes, I mean there was a whole episode on Black Mirror that was dedicated to a supposed story about David Cameron, but that's a whole other story. Yeah, on the subject of sex, let's put this up here. Our good friends over in Japan have new rules to help retired Japanese porn stars begin their new lives. Isn't that thoughtful of them?
Good for them. What's
Yeah. So, a new initiative launched by a Japanese human rights organization that caters to the interests of adult entertainment workers is poised to help those who wish to quit the business and create a new beginning without being forced to endure the social stigma. Japanese Adults Human Rights Organization drafted a new set of regulations aimed to improve a lot of the porn stars who wish to retire from the industry. As per the new guidelines, set to come into effect earlier this year, according to Japan Today, pornographic actresses will be able to request that adult video production and distribution companies halt the sales of their films that the former performers had featured in before they quit. That's a lot of power for, if as I say, the woman, if she decides to retire, can basically, get the distribution company to stop producing and selling the films that she starred in.
I mean, I think that's probably a pretty good extension, if you want to call it, of individual liberties. To say basically you have the right over the property that is now, because I guess you could argue to say now your image, your persona of an adult, or just not even just in the adult industry, but just in general, you can issue a order with the power of the government to basically say stop putting me out there.
Right. That
I don't know.
Ayn Rand kind of had that philosophy to some extent that once a person has an idea or they own themselves, they kind of indefinitely have property rights to do with that image whatever they want. So it gives the right to the architect to destroy his own building if he so choose. I disagree. Because
well, in that case, if you're okay, yeah, no, I see what you're saying from that because
yeah. So while
I think it's different though. Like an architect builds a building, there's no image of him on it. I'm saying in the case where we're talking about the porn actors, they are actually in the films.
Correct. but at the same time, they've consented to hand their image and their likeness over to the film producer in exchange for money, right? And I don't think their retirement will null and void that contract. That's kind of my view on it, because they create a new product that the producer and the distribution company owns. They have the rights to that new product. So she's given up the rights to control that further on in exchange for money. And so if it, as I say, if she has the power to do that, that is a circumventing of property rights of the distribution company. So
okay, I get that much.
It's an interesting argument.
It could be, it could be a frontier to be explored, definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, then there could also be the repercussions. So again, using porn as the issue, say you get a young starlet that comes in, she shoots a couple of videos, it goes viral, and she decides she doesn't want to do it anymore. 2 months out, she retires, right? But actually, in the article itself, let me. It actually says, let me just go back to it there. That there is a minimum from it, right? Right. This option, however, can be exercised only after the video is pulled off the shelves, has been commercially available for at least 5 years, or 5 years and 6 months after it was originally recorded. So that would address my issue. Like a woman can't come in, shoot a porn film, 2 months later retire and say, well, that's the end of that.
Right. They're still kind of saying, okay, like it's something that probably isn't making money anymore.
Right. So yeah, and that tends to be the nature of adult films. There's always new girls, there's always new actresses and stuff like that coming in. But it is an interesting concept, and it does bring up the issue about property rights and what happens to your brand, right? So a porn star is basically a brand, right? That's the whole premise, right? So Jenna Jameson, I mean, I'm showing my age by calling that name. I don't know many of the modern porn stars, but that's their image, right? That is their brand, right? Tara Patrick. That's the other
well, you can okay. So one, this is actually relevant because we could actually talk about August Ames, the one that got in trouble because of the not wanting to do scenes with men who have experience doing gay porn.
Right, gay porn, right? So
she
that was
herself,
a porn actress,
right? And so, what would you do with her material?
Correct. Well, I mean, to backfill the story, right? So there was this porn actress. What was her name? I can't remember.
August Ames. She was on Twitter. She basically said she made some decision that said, "Well, I choose not to work with men who have had experience, who have been in gay porn, so men with men, porn films, for her own reasons." I don't know if it was. I mean, it could be anything from she just doesn't want to risk disease, which they tend to keep a close eye on, but she just didn't want to do that. I mean, that was her decision as a porn star.
Correct.
And the entire internet came on her and said she's homophobic.
Right.
And so it opened up a whole can of worms, saying, well, okay, then she actually killed herself. And so people were saying, okay, did social media kill her? Or was it the fact that she is as a porn star, in some cases, they could have very fragile mental health.
Right.
So that was kind of just pushed her over the edge. So it really wasn't the sort of
compounding it.
Right. So then it turned a whole thing like, okay, this is how bad the derangement can go. Is now we're even going to start going after porn stars because they have preferences which is interesting enough to be a real big leftist concept.
Yeah. Well, and again, because the porn star doesn't fit the group mentality that of the left, she got attacked and she got criticized.
Yeah.
So yeah, it brings in this whole thing again. A porn star is a brand, right? Whether she is her own, the smart ones anyway. They brand themselves. They get endorsements. They are the company. They do products. They do breast and vagina stuff, and they do molding and toys, and they endorse products and lube, and they are a business. They are a intellectual property. And the whole thing about the industry is that you sign over those rights to use that property in their given product, right? Very similar to an actor, an actress. But I mean, would you give who's an actor that recently passed away? Like, would you do that? Would you like, or even if somebody who's retired from acting, would you give them the say to pull their movies from
I
circulation?
mean, would you pull all the Robin Williams movies?
Yeah, it's I don't know that's I mean, of course, I mean they're classics. There's nothing there. Even if he hated the movie, does he have the right to ask that it be pulled? And I don't think he does. I think he's already made a voluntary transaction to give up the rights for that property, that intellectual property. And it's an interesting experiment that Japan is playing with. I'm kind of interested to see how it works out.
Yeah. Hey, at least they're experimenting with something that has positive instead of experimenting with, I don't know, immigration.
Right. And I mean, there are a couple other things in that article. I'll just say that they have to explain that I didn't know if this was an issue or not, but in their contract negotiations with the starlets, they have to say, well, look, you're actually going to be involved in nudity. You might actually have sex. There is a risk that you might get an STD and all this other stuff. I don't know why that's it. I would have thought that was kind of common knowledge, but the Japanese, they don't like surprises. So just culturally, they're throwing all that stuff in, But it's an interesting debate. I'm actually kind of interested to see, where that goes,
Right.
All right, let's see what else I got here, man.
You had another one, I think.
I got one more. Well, before I get to that, I just wanted to throw this one in here. So, Alveda King, which I think is the niece. Yeah.
Oh.
But this is what I told you about, right?
Okay.
I'll give people the link and so forth. But she was the niece to Martin Luther King. And
wow.
she actually came out publicly supporting Donald Trump and saying that he's not a racist, and he's actually been very good for the black community, right? So I do not believe Donald Trump is a racist. The economy is up. Jobs in the black community jobs are up in the black community. There's great promise to get a lot of people who have been unfairly incarcerated out. King told Fox News, Fox and Friends on Monday and stuff like that. So yeah, as we know, last month the black unemployment rate actually dropped pretty drastically since 1972. So I will give you that link as well so people can read it. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know about that. I just saw it in passing, but I'll put that out as well. But this is another good one. New feminist business school will help you battle both capitalism and the patriarchy. The online program called Sister will only run you $1,200 US. Quite the capitalist feat. And this is just pure garbage. I mean, this is the scum of ass cancer. And
Evergreen College. Of course, it's Evergreen State College.
What is Evergreen State College?
Evergreen State College was the one. It was the college in California that got Professor Brett Weinstein,
right,
was there. He was from there, and basically Evergreen State College had gotten a lot of protests because of basically their whole black activism groups went absolutely nuts and took over the college, basically demanding the immediate removal of all the white professors, the president of the college. Basically, they wanted to remove all white people because that's not segregation; that's a safe space.
Right.
And there were videos going up all over the place of them, like what they were doing, how absolutely deranged it was, how they would just walk into a class, where a professor's giving a lecture, and just immediately blow up in his face about white privilege, white power, colonialism, the whole everything.
Wow. Okay.
And telling him he has to leave, or else they're going to just keep screaming in his lecture. Random professors too.
Right. Not even
just
dealing with history, not even something.
I think it was just the whole campus just went nuts.
Wow.
It was like, I think close to the level of Berkeley, where just a whole campus is under, not like attack or destruction of property, but it was just a complete disruption of the school day.
Wow, I did not know that.
Huh. So Brett Weinstein, he's a professor that was there, him and Jordan Peterson have crossed some paths. Him and Sam Harris and Ben Shapiro have crossed paths because he's kind of become one of those professors that's kind of speaking on a lot of these campus nonsense.
Right.
That's been going on.
That's crazy. Well, anyway, they're offering.
So it's funny that someone came from
Yeah. I mean, this, it's just total ass cancer, right? So, so the online program started by Evergreen State College. I didn't know they were a thing. I should have guessed though. Graduated the former started by a feminist performance artist, Jennifer Ambers. So this is like the feminist dance theory class. That's what her graduate degree is in. Promised to help women
thought that
engage.
was a joke.
Oh no! There's literally feminist dance theory and feminist geology and feminist physics and all this other bullshit.
Perfect.
If you do a Google search in the meantime for like feminist geology, we could show people that afterwards. So she's promising women will be able to engage in the business world without losing their core feminine values. How to conceive and birth a new business while systematically dismantling the patriarchy and establishing yourself as an earth-centered goddess. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sister IS, because of course that's its name, promises that those willing to pay very capitalist $1,200 US to take Ambush online course, Concepts and Conception, will learn how to give birth to feminist businesses while she acts as a midwife, assuring that you will continue to battle the forces of oppression while encouraging them to patronize their new endeavors. So I mean, long and short is, has 12 guiding principles, which include, you have a body. Now, this is supposed to be a business class, right?
Right.
If there's an entire class dedicated to the fact that you have a body, and which is basically my vagina speech, right? It's like, that's like the center core of creativity. It's going to be basically like, that kind of centered yoga sort of thing. Again, another topic, you are connected to the earth. This is a fucking business course, right? Cultivating abundance and consciousness. Hello. Free yourself from the myth of meritocracy.
So real quick here, though. Cultivate abundance and consciousness. Okay, that could be like some, just to take that one out of that and say, that could be like a, Tony Robbins book.
Right. If it was a motivational or like a
so that's not sounding too weird, but then the whole connected to earth or the myth of meritocracy.
The myth of meritocracy. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. Ambush promises that you'll receive a huge leg up on established entrepreneurs, and you'll avoid the frustration and pitfalls of outdated masculine business models. Right?
Jordan Peterson talked about that. I was going to say
about what?
About how modern business and the markets tend to follow more masculine traits. Masculinity is what tends to drive the market, and they were, so they kind of go into saying, well, the lady's like, well, so what about feminine, traits, feminine methods? And he says, yeah, go ahead, sure, go for it then.
Oh,
who's going to actually do it? Like,
if somebody wants to start a feminist something, and it's been tried, they've had a couple of them, it hasn't worked out so great. Like feminist frequency, and there've been a couple of Kickstarters, and I think that the number one performing female executive used to be a man. There's equality for you.
Used to be a man.
Yeah, it's a transgender woman, and but she is, I think, the highest performing female executive. I might be wrong; that might have changed by now, but this is the world we live in now, where it's no longer about principles in business: buy low, sell high, manage your risk, don't go broke. Just like, it's more important that you're in touch with the earth and you become aware of your consciousness as a goddess because that's going to give you a leg up in the realm of business. And so, I mean, one final point on that, you know, there are a lot of people talking about, you know, the mud diversity and this concept that, you know, more diverse organizations tend to be more successful. And again, this is a sleight of hand trick that, you know, these people who've kind of looked at it and said, well, that's actually not necessarily the case. It's very successful businesses. They tend to be able to afford to do these diversity experiments in the executive offices and stuff like that. But people tend to be reading the information backwards and saying the success of the business tends to be based on the fact of diversity, when it's actually the other way around. So interesting theories. You know, so again, we got to speak out about a lot of this nonsense, man. And yeah, it's creeping into everything. Did you find the feminist geography thing?
Not geology, but I definitely found feminist geography. So I'm actually going to pull that up real quick here. Now it is a Wikipedia article, so people might want to go and flip out. Let's see, feminist geography. Yeah. Wikipedia article, feminist geography. Video. What is feminist geography? Now look in this toilet at this huge steaming pile of shit. This
is it steaming? Is it like really, you know, odorous?
Yeah. Oh boy.
This is some serious brain syphilis type next level shit, right?
All right. Feminist geography is an approach in human geography which applies the theories, methods, and critiques of feminism to the study of the human environment, society, and geographical space. The geography of women.
Right.
Focuses upon the description of effects on gender inequality. So it looks at its theoretical influences focus on welfare geography and liberal feminism. So you have socialist feminist geography.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Feminist geographies of difference. Post-colonial and psychoanalytic theories, which writings of women of color, lesbian women, and gay... Oh, wait.
Gay men.
From third world...
Down with the patriarchy.
Whoops. Imagine geographies. Whoops, I just clicked on that by accident. Imaginary geography.
Is anybody offering this course? Like, if you go down to the bottom, is there like somebody you could enroll? I'd love to know who's offering this course.
Related geographers? There's actual geographers of this field
teaching this stuff. My God.
Yeah. So if you have any of these professors, don't go there. Let's see.
University of Minnesota Press.
No.
Say it ain't so.
No, not here. So those of you guys, real quick here, I'll just kind of let you guys know, because I definitely want to kind of talk about this a bit, since it does pertain to my channel mostly, and we'll definitely talk about it here in the stream. Next month, in February, I will be going to the University of Minnesota to see Ben Shapiro give a talk. I've actually got a few friends coming, a few friends on like Facebook, people I actually know in person that are coming with. I was one of the first people to kind of reach out and try to get in on to get into the event, basically. Yeah, I've been in contact with the organizers, speaking with them about it, seeing what to expect. Right. And it is sure to gather a lot of attention compared to the Lawrence Southern event that I went to last year. But I will definitely be filming, and definitely, if I can, I'm going to try to get a lot more footage of possibly some protesters, some pre-talk, during the talk, and then after the talk, as well as get to hopefully get to ask some good questions for Ben Shapiro to answer, and be able to use that footage as well, because I know they stream all of the talks that he does. So, yeah. But That'll be good. Good
Sounds
footage.
good,
Yeah, yeah. So any other any ass cancer that you found that you want to
no,
share?
I think those are the big ones. I mean, I know we're coming up on the time, but yeah, no, those were the big ones, and I will put links. I'll send you the links. You can add them to the description, including the one with Alveda King with Trump. So I think that's good. I mean, the U.S. economy is doing great under Trump. I think as of today, the Dow is over. Well, as of yesterday, the Dow was over 2,600, and it closed over 2,600 and stayed above it as of yesterday, I think. So yeah, you guys are leading the global recovery, and it's totally because of Trump.
Yeah, because racism sells somehow.
I mean,
It's hilarious. The Trump derangement syndrome is even creeping into finances, basically where the market is actually on the up, and and people are trying to say, hey, Trump. This is all thanks to Trump, and they're saying, no, 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 no. America has always been great. America's always doing well. So of course it's going to happen, even though we have a shitty president. And yet everyone freaked out. No one really tackled hard on the biggest dip following following an election.
right.
Yeah, when Obama was elected,
Correct.
it was like one of the biggest dips in the market after the election.
Yeah, totally.
It kind of kept going up, didn't it?
Well, there was that, and the fact that quantitative easing, which is basically the printing of money, the stock market kind of went up in correlation with the printing of money. So, but the economic growth never got above 3% under Obama. So it was all artificial inflation just by diluting the currency. So, I mean, that's how we understood it. We looked at it and be like, well, this is not a real recovery.
Right.
But yeah.
And then now everyone is trying to say, well, Trump is not like bringing as many jobs as because he's talked about jobs. And so I've looked at some of those stats too, like how many jobs did Obama bring in over his two terms, and how much Trump has brought in for his first year, and how he's kind of under that. But then I kind of go and think, well, you got to look at it in a lot of different variables. How is the market behaving? You want to look at society. Are racial tensions rising or falling? Well, the left is actually keeping the racial tensions high. It's not the right that's doing it. It's
Correct.
the left.
Correct.
Which is interesting. They're saying, well, he's going to be the reason for racism to rise again. Yeah, you should keep talking about it and keep making that an issue. Of course it's going to do that.
Correct. And I mean, that's, once upon a time, to be a liberal meant that you didn't care about people's race, right? It was all about the content of their character and all these other things. So now that we've come, the left has flung so hard to the left and they've become progressive. Now it's all about
Once
race.
upon a time, a certain black president talked about securing our borders and deporting illegal immigrants.
Yeah, he did. But of course, short memory.
But of course, Trump's a racist.
I mean, he's funny as hell. The economy is doing really good for you guys, and he's smart. And most people realize this. As long as the American people are doing well financially, they really don't give a shit about the other issues.
Smartest man in the world.
With the greatest words.
Greatest words, the most words, the best words. Shithole countries.
Shithole countries. I love it. I mean, London is turning into a shithole in many ways. Did you see that interview with the writer from Breitbart? Shut down this interviewee who basically asked him about Trump's alleged speaking about shitholes and stuff like that, and he played into it and whatever, and then at the end of it he basically turned around and said, well, crime is up in the UK and the mayor of London is incompetent and all this other stuff, and under this mayor who's tried to ban Trump, London has become a shithole. So it was brilliant.
Right. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe to both of our channels. All the info is going to be down below. How you want to get connected with us through Twitter, Facebook, some other British social media sites that Brook uses. And yeah, we will. Like I said, we kind of put on hold the whole guest thing, but we're definitely still looking at. We're not just holding out on one guest. We're looking at other options for guests too. Definitely going to start looking at other channels that are possibly where we can reach out and kind of say, hey, want to get some different opinions on here. I know there's some friends that I have that are definitely doing channels too, and I've told them to let me know when they want to, come on the channel, come on the stream. So once again, this is the Shitlord Preachers podcast with Amos Joseph and Brook Potter. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks again, guys. See you next week.